Well, hello again, Memphis, and welcome to another installment of Art Scene. I'm your host, Mark Fleischer, and today we have a really special treat. We're sitting here at the Halloran Center downtown, and thanks to the Halloran Center for letting us in. But it's my honor and pleasure to introduce to you my guest for today, which is Ann C. Perry. And Ann has a one-woman show coming up at the end of January 30th, which is a Friday. And not only is it a one-woman show, but it's also a one-woman playwright, right?
That's right.
So you've been on this stage before, right?
I have.
Yes. So I guess welcome back to the Halloran stage. So thank you for being on the show today. This is a lot of fun.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
This is a lot of fun. It's exciting.
It is exciting, yeah. So we met when we were talking about this before we started filming. We met, I think back in April or May or something at the coffee shop on Highland. And Christine and Rachel at the foundation said, you have to meet Ann.
So nice.
You have to meet her. And then they also said, there's got to be a way for us to feature her in the magazine, so our MPL Unbound magazine, which you've been kind enough to contribute a piece.
Thank you.
But the story, and then when we sat down and talked at the coffee shop that day, you told me quite a remarkable story, and as a writer myself, I could relate to your journey. So let's first talk about what the one-woman show is about.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's about the life of Zora Neale Hurston, the legendary icon from the Harlem Renaissance, who gave us Their Eyes Were Watching God. That's her classic seminal work.
Yeah, and I hadn't heard of her, until we talked,
Right.
because she passed away. I think it was 1960 or something
She
like
did.
that. Yeah.
Yes.
But really quite a prolific author, historian, anthropologist. I think she called herself.
Yes. Folklorist and ethnographer.
Yeah. Yeah. Author of
well-
quite a few books too.
Yeah. Playwright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your one-woman show is
Live Rich, Die Poor.
yes, Live Rich, Die Poor, Zora Awakening, right?
Yes.
How would you describe because you embody a few characters in this show. How would you describe, without giving too much away, how would you describe the theme, impetus of the show for you?
I would say the theme is emptying yourself. And, we have a finite amount of time to be on this earth.
Yeah.
And I was inspired by Zora's story, how even up until death, she was still writing letters to the publisher and still working on her book, Herod the Great, which has just been posthumously finished and published.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So she was, all these stories, she had to get them out. And so it inspired me to think about how so many gifts and so many talents go to the grave with folks. I mean, there's a saying, the richest place on earth is the graveyard. Because
Yes.
they're the unfinished books, the cures to diseases, all the things that people thought they should do and were called to do, but didn't. But she was actively trying to empty herself. And so Live Rich, Die Poor. Poor is just a play on the word of emptying and being poor in the sense of I've left it all here.
Yeah. And she, African-American woman, she would have grown up during the Jim Crow era, right?
Yes.
Alabama, I believe, is where
She
she's
was
from.
born in Notasoga, Alabama, and ended up growing up in Edenville, Florida.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, what I'm really interested in is, and I'm glad it's been a minute since we've seen each other, because we can really kind of go back and revisit how you told me your story.
Right.
So let's start with, how did you come to understand who she was, know who she was? So go back to when you first discovered her, or when she was first introduced to you.
Yeah, well, I can never forget that, because I was working at Roosevelt University in Chicago, and I think I remember telling you about this supervisor
Yes.
that I had, who seemed to have a sixth sense about things. And like, I got this rash, and she was like, go to the doctor, and it ended up being shingles. And then she said one weekend, you should go home, you should go home. And I went home and witnessed the birth of my niece. And so when she handed me Their Eyes Are Watching God, just some random book for me at the time, had all of those other things not happened, I probably would not have read it. But a year later, I was like, you know what? April gave me this book. I probably should read it. And so the language, she wrote in the dialect of the people unapologetically. And I was fascinated. It was beautiful language. And so I just started digging and looking up everything about her. And there was a festival that I went to hear, I got to hear one of her major biographers speak.
Robert
Hemingway.
Yeah, not Hemingway, but Hemingway. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I know. I had to look at that twice. Yeah.
I say funny spelled. That's just how it was spelled.
Yeah.
But I got to hear him speak, and he had, as I said, one of her major biographers. And so it was exciting to hear him talk about her. But I remember him saying the next major biographer should be an African American woman. And I said to myself, that's not me. But I should do a one-woman play on her life. And I remember at that festival thinking, I should do this story about her. And so that was when the seeds of a one-woman play began, which I knew nothing about a one-woman play at that time, but I just thought it should be.
Had you done any playwriting up to that point?
No.
No?
I had written some short stories, and had gotten inspired to write a screenplay about Orpheus and Eurydice that I never finished. But this was going to be my first play. Yeah.
And to put this in context, this was like 25, 30 years ago when you experienced this?
Yes.
Yeah. And so that makes sense. When the biographer Hemingway, when he said the next biographer should be an African American woman, and why do you say not me? Not just too much.
I just didn't think I was a biographer. And I'm not, and I'm still not. I knew that I was an actress and someone who wanted to be a storyteller. Yeah. But not a biographer. Yeah. And as it turns out, I found out years later that Valerie Boyd was in the audience.
And yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I mean, we were on a Zoom call, and I was listening to her talk about Zora, and then she told that story, and I was like, I was there. I heard him tell you that. And so putting the pieces together, that was really fun to hear. And they both have since passed. Yeah. But that was the seed. I knew that I was going to do a one-woman show. I didn't know how, when, or what the story would be. Yeah. But that's when that got planted in me.
So you had dabbled in some, as you said, screenwriting and playwriting at the time. And you wrote about this for our magazine. And so I was, of course, rereading that just recently. And the way you describe, it was almost like something from the gods that kind of came to you and said, a one-woman show. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. But that was 20, 30 years ago in Chicago, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And then, but here we are, right?
Right.
So many years later. And, you know, if you don't mind me mentioning the fact that in your piece you wrote about this too, life happens, you
Yeah.
know. And, you know, sometimes, as we talked about at the coffee shop that day, sometimes life happens in such a way that kind of prepares you for more, and you realize maybe I wasn't ready to write it back then, and now. So when did you come around to, like, okay, I think I'm ready to write this? When did, talk about that.
I'd say 2014, 2016, I had been reading and researching and writing things down, and even experimenting with getting some of her writing on stage with a director friend of mine. And I just didn't know the story I wanted to tell. And so I thought, well, just keep researching, just keep reading. And then finally one day it hit me that it's whatever our gifts are. It's the emptying out, because I really didn't want to replay or rehash a timeline of her life, although that's there. And there were other stories about her out there. So I thought I really need to just wait and see what story emerges. And it just hit me one day. Again, another gift from God, like this is the story.
Yeah.
But you're right, even as an actress, you know, 19-year-old, 22-year-old actress in Chicago, there were roles that I was not ready to play, and even stories that I wasn't ready to write. And I think reading about her empowered me in a way as a woman. Like, wow, she doesn't care what anybody thinks. She is like fully herself. And that was something I wanted to be as a woman and as a writer. And I think being inspired by her and then growing in those areas has allowed me to catch up with the story that I am telling.
So yeah, when you say life happens, it's more like, no, I've gathered my tools from life now to be able to tell this story and bring it to life, and probably I'm gonna have to guess, tell it from your heart and soul. Really.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, in a way that I think honors the person that I'm writing about. In a way that there's growth and development. Because I remember at the beginning just thinking, people are going to compare my writing to hers. If I'm writing about her, doesn't my writing have to live up to this person? And I was intimidated to write her story. And through the course of time and maturing and fully becoming an older woman, I just feel more confident. And I'm like, this is mine to tell. This is a story that I've written, and I will honor her and myself in that way.
Yeah. Did you find that you used some of her own words in the playwriting, meaning incorporated some of her actual written words, which would, you know, translate to perhaps some dialogue? Did you go through that process? And
I did, and that's how actually I started. I don't know if you remember my friend, the playwright and actor Jerry Dye, who lived in Memphis for a long time. He's in Chicago now, working and doing operettas and that type of thing. But we started with one of her essays, just trying to get it on its feet and help me find the story. Eventually, I just started writing and using this thing. I don't know if I told you about it, but actors, we do this thing called dropping in, where we try to drop into the character. And so as a writer, I tried to do the same thing. I'm going to drop into her living room
Yeah.
and just watch from the outside. What would I see?
Yeah.
And so I started writing like that and incorporating some of her words. Eventually, it whittled it down to where it's all original. There may be one line or two lines that she has said and she's popular for.
Yeah. The dropping in thing, I can relate to that. Yeah, because I've done a little bit of that myself in the writing, and that can be in my writing, and that can be, how would you put it, emotionally challenging, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. If you're trying to put yourself in their place.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. In whatever circumstances. Yeah.
That's true, because another early on problem, not problem, but complexity that I had was she's so different from me. And I was wrestling with, telling the story of someone who was practically an atheist, and I'm, deeply spiritual. And can I do the things that she did with abandon? Can I do those things on stage? So I was wrestling with honoring my subject.
Yeah.
And again, just becoming a more mature actress, writer, woman, I can make those distinctions and tell the story without,
Yeah.
feeling all of those immature feelings.
Now, it's not just Zora.
That's right.
To be clear, it's also a number of characters that you play. Because we think of a one-person show, we might think of Mark Twain orating, and it's just that one character. But in this case, for you, you inhabit quite a few characters. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's about 18 now.
18.
Yes. And her mother, her father, a little best friend. There's men at the corner store, and there's characters at the juke joint. Langston Hughes, the love of her life, someone who saved her from getting killed, and there's some animals also, because she collected stories in the vein of like Brer Rabbit, and so there's one of her snake stories that I have reassembled and reimagined in a totally new way, and so I'm even playing the animals in the story, and they visit the underworld, and so there's even Hades, or the devil, that's in there.
And this is in an hour and a half show.
Yes.
Right. No intermission.
No intermission.
No intermission.
No intermission.
As I did a little acting in college, an hour and a half on stage, you alone, would scare me to death. So, what, for those who don't understand the process, what is that like for you on stage, and to jump around from character to character? And again, it's just you. You can't bounce anything off of anyone else. It's just you out there.
Right.
So, yeah, what is that like?
I think the best way that I can describe it is thinking of it as a muscle, almost like someone who learns to do improv. I was a theater major in college, but when I did improv, it was a totally different muscle. So for me, this was a totally different muscle where I had to build up the stamina. Every show, I do a complete warm-up. I'm warming up my body. I'm warming up my vocal cords. I'm warming up emotionally. And by the time you've seen me do it, I've rehearsed hundreds of times.
Yeah.
And at this stage, like close to 1,000, I'm guessing.
1,000 performances?
Just rehearsals.
Oh, rehearsing,
and performances.
Yes. Okay.
Because you do have to build up the stamina. I think of ballet dancers and the way the art is so beautiful, but their feet are sometimes mangled.
Yes.
Just the
Yeah.
amount of pressure and time that you have to put into it.
Mhm.
And so it is like building a muscle to be able to do that. And 90 minutes, I think, is tops. That's as much as I could do and the audience would want to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, 90 minutes seems, yeah, it does seem
Mm-hmm.
appropriate for something like that. Yeah, versus, let's say, something like The Iceman Cometh, which is, that shows, what is it, 8 hours and
Oh my gosh.
2 intermissions or something crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a good time frame. 18 characters. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So you said again, how many times have you performed it now?
Oh, gosh, I don't know how many times I've performed it. I
Mhm.
was speaking of like how many times I've probably rehearsed it.
Yeah.
But I've done some touring of it. It's had a couple of, several runs here in Memphis at smaller theaters,
Mm-hmm.
some college visits. It's had a life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, where did Christine Weinrich for the foundation? Where did she see you perform this?
Oh, okay. So last March,
Uh-huh.
I did a show at the Cosset
Oh, okay.
Library, and that was an interesting show because I didn't invite anyone. I asked 10 friends to invite 10 friends, and that's how those 100 people came to be. And so it ended up being a full house.
Mhm.
And Christine, although she's president of the Library Foundation, she was a friend of a friend.
Right, right.
And so that's how she came to be there.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. She was dazzled. Yeah.
Well,
she
she said that, and that was so kind of her. And it was just one of those things where I try my best to get ready for a show and practice, and then I just have to let it be what it is.
Afterward, I mean, I'm in a venue like that in the Cosset.
Mhm.
Sure, you had numerous people wanting to talk to you afterward.
Yes.
Um,
And I did do a talk back.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's got to be a challenge too, because you put on a performance like that, and there's so much physicality to your performance
Mm-hmm.
that that you've got to have a moment where it's like, I need to chill for just a bit before
Yeah. I think the adrenaline is so high
Uh-huh.
that once that I say that last line, I feel this sense of like, okay, I've made it through
Yeah.
the show. Everything else is easy. I remember one show I did, and right after the show, we packed up and I went to Kroger. And I saw a friend of mine who had been at the show, and she was like, "You're at Kroger shopping?" I'm like, "My family has to eat." And I'm the one that cooks.
Yeah.
So it's just like, life has to go on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's such a sense of accomplishment after getting through 90 minutes.
Yeah, and also, I do know too that when the performance ends, you really draw a lot of energy from the crowd.
Definitely.
It is palpable, right? As a performer,
Yes.
to get that energy from the crowd,
Mm-hmm.
even during a performance, because some audiences react differently than others.
They do.
Some will get a joke or get a moment, and others are like, "Oh boy, that went nowhere this time," but last time the audience, howled, right? Yeah.
That's right. And
Yeah.
then sometimes they're completely quiet and you don't know what it is they're experiencing.
Mhm.
And you could be thinking, oh, no one laughed at that. But then afterwards, sometimes they come up and they have just really loved it and experienced it the same way that a really vocal audience has. So you've got to give the performance anyway. But
Yeah.
you love that feedback because, it's a relationship. It's an exchange.
Yeah. So with the time we have left, I want to do a real quick plug for our Unbound magazine, just to say that your contribution to it was to take some of those other characters that didn't quite fit into your 90-minute show, and you said, I want those stories to be told somehow. So we're fortunate enough, thank you so much for bringing some of those other characters in, and you get to share those stories. But the other thing I wanted to ask you real quickly is with regard to some of the educational programming that y'all are doing here as part of the Zora story, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you may be referring to the children's show
Right.
that is also coming to the Halloran, called Zora the Brave. And it is also about Zora Neale Hurston taking a little girl on a quest of finding identity and her voice. So I'm super excited that children will get a chance to see that show the 29th and 30th of January.
So 29th, 30th matinees, obviously, right?
Zora the Brave, yes.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, and then once again your show.
The night of the 30th.
The night of the 30th. So yeah, Friday night the 30th, right here at the Halloran. So you're continuing with this process. You've anything else in the works? Any other inspirations that have taken a couple decades to curate in your heart and soul?
Yeah, there's some magical realism. Well, there's some stories that I want to tell that have magical realism in them, and some Afrofuturistic stories, apocalyptic stories that I want to tell. I love science fiction. I'm inspired by Octavia Butler. And so, yes, there are some other stories. One in particular, I'm telling a story about maturing women, my age, with superpowers.
Oh, interesting. Very good. All right. Well, Ann C. Perry, thank you so much for sitting down with us today. This has been a lot of fun. It went by really fast.
It did.
Yeah.
That was quick.
Yeah. And I want to make sure that we pay a special thank you again to the Orpheum Theater Group and the Halloran Center, and Kristen Bennett for helping set this up, and also Jen McGrath for the work that she's doing as part of the educational series and the youth show, the children's show.
That's right.
And thank you so much for...
Thank you.
And again, the show's January 30th, so thank you so much.
That's right. Right here on this stage.
Yes.
Friends of the Library helps to raise money for all 18 Memphis Public Library locations, their programs, and services. Donate as a one-time monthly or yearly contribution to help us continue to serve the approximately 2 million customers who enter Memphis Public Libraries annually.
You're watching the Library Channel, a broadcast service of the Memphis Public Libraries and the City of Memphis.